hopefully live. Bit of a new face here for the League of Legends Midwest channel. Uh, Making sure everything works. Check if there's an echo at all. But this is a week 3 matchup between BucketJonBets and For Fun at 20. And as someone who doesn't necessarily know too much about either of these teams, I'm not going to try to give any hard-hitting analysis, but we are getting into draft here. BucketJonBets going to take blue side, For Fun at 20, going to be on the red side. Both of these teams in Group B. BucketJonBets currently 2-0, looking to catch up to Vibe Check, who are sitting at 3-0 right now. So should be an interesting kind of high stakes matchup for them. And on the flip side, we have For Fun at 20. They're sitting at 1-1 right now, and it's a big matchup for them as well because top three are going to make playoffs. So every match counts, especially these ones where you're looking at two of the currently top three teams in Group B. See Melban come through for BJB. Just solid control mage. I can try to pull up some OPGGs to actually be able to talk more about Champ Select. But Nefiri coming through for Fun at 20. So just solid red side ban. Going to be a good band to take care of there. Strong first pick. So knocking that out of the way. Maybe forcing IB Gen on a different character there. Maybe having a little bit of problems with draft here, so we'll have to get back into it, but shouldn't be a huge deal.
Hence why they're
Stream volume low. Thanks for letting me know, Naz. Try to up it, bring my mic a little closer. I may just be mumbling too, but we'll make sure I project myself a little better and keep me updated if I can make the viewing experience any better. All right, new draft link. It's live. Just gonna see the same bands mirrored. So Mel and Echo, first two bands for Bucket John, and Nefiri band coming through for FF at 20. Not sure if they have any preference between getting called FF at 20 versus For Fun at 20. Maybe shorthanding that a little bit and screwing them over. And Diana band coming through for that third band on the side of Bucket Johns. Looks like so is your first pick going to be locked in for Sunflower? Just strong mid laner. Looks like Sunflower is someone who is comfortable on those control mages, and as you're right now in the meta, just going to be a solid blind pick. Gives you good scaling, good wave clear, pretty much everything you would want in a blind pick mid laner. And then it looks like on the side of Forefront at 20, drafting very explosive already. A Galio and a Yasuo. Oh, Galio, by both of those, could be flex picks, but kind of expecting, well, I'm not even going to say. That Galio could go top, mid, or support. We've been seeing a lot of Galio top recently in pro play, especially with Fearless. It's a great option into magic damage characters. So we'll see if BucketJonBets responds in kind by locking in some more skirmish, bruiser, AD heavy champs. So Vi is going to be the jungler on the side of IBGen. Just another strong, very stock standard kind of meta picks coming through from BucketJonBets. There's a reason these characters are meta. They're comfortable fighting. They have good scaling, easy to execute. Poppy's going to come through as well. Loving that pick, especially once you see this Yasuo come out. As whoever ends up piloting that Yasuo is not going to have as enjoyable of a time as they maybe want into that beefy front line of Vi and Poppy that BucketJonBets are currently shaping up with. Oh, I was just in the wrong thing. Streams. Viego locked in on R3 for Frozen Ace. That's going to be their their most played this season by quite a strong margin. So BucketJonBets letting that one go over. I think maybe taking an eye at that win rate there. Thinking, okay, maybe that's not as big of a threat. Opting to ban things like the Diana instead, taking away this Diana Yasuo combo. But regardless, should be comfort in the hands of Frozen Ace. And Viego's one of those champions. If you can get snowballing, if skirmishes fall your way and you get those resets, then things go well. Let's see. This is kind of interesting. I'm not haven't been able to tune into too many of these other games, but usually you see drafts play out first round. You're going to select your bottom lane and jungle, but both of these teams opting for their top side instead, and that's going to lead to potentially already 3 AD bans in this second phase of bans. Potentially more coming through. Yeah, it looks like Ezreal and Jhin on the side of BucketJonBets and Smolder Tristana. Trying to take away some of that scaling. And things that may be a little tougher for that Yasuo Viego to play into. We do have Mage and I can't even if there's any translation available there. That would be probably appreciated so I'm not butchering this. Malphite ban coming through. So maybe leaning towards something a bit more AD heavy. Are BucketJonBets here. Alright, looks like the AD of For Fun at 20 is something from just some Arabic words that Google Translate is not helping me out with. Chopped letters. Okay, it's probably something. Yeah, well, I won't bother. But chopped letters locking in the Aphelios, so high skill ceiling 80 carry there. It's going to be something that is versatile that can play a bit more, a lot of the styles really. You want something when you see the Vi on the other end. You want something that can survive and have a little bit of agency when that ulti comes in on top of you. So Ophelia is going to be locked in. If he's on red-white guns, then definitely going to have the at least potential to fight back. And Zaya Rakan, Lovers Duo being locked in on the side of BJB. Just a solid bot lane. Agency in the early game should go their way until this Karma comes in on R5. Mage opting for lane here and getting a little bit more AP damage on the side of For Fun at 20, as they do have really just the Galio on that front and don't want this Poppy and Vi to be too unkillable. So that does wrap up draft. Said these two teams are in quite an interesting spot right now. Both teams could use this win here on week 3. It's best of 3 fearless as
Fair.
always. Kind of referencing the power rankings that dropped yesterday. FF at 20 dropping 6 spots last week, so definitely looking for a bounce back. And BucketJonBets trying to crack into that upper echelon of the Midwest League and could do so with maybe a strong performance here. So, taking a look at draft a little bit more, I think on paper, BucketJonBets are the favorites here. They are 2 and 0. They got BGen on this comfortable Vi pick. They have this stable control mage mid laner in the Azir. Kind of looking at maybe some past games here. Week 1, BucketJonBets with the 2-1 over UAFS. And those 2 wins kind of coming off the hand of really just dominant performances all around. And so when you take a look now, it looks like Messire's just going off. So getting Messiah in something that can take care of himself in the Zaya, has that ulti, has the peel with the Rakan. That's definitely going to be at least my player to watch for this early this first game here. And on the flip side, I think for FF at 20, you're looking towards that top side. That's what you really want to get rolling when you draft things like Yasuo and Viego. Those are characters that need to be ahead, and if they're not ahead, they are going to look useless without trying to mince words. So, gonna have my eyes on. I'm not too sure what's going where yet. I'm gonna assume the Galio's gonna be put in the mid lane into the Azir, and you just kind of put CLT on something maybe a little more uncomfortable with the Yasuo into the Poppy. But once team fights start breaking out, it's going to be on the Yasuo and the Viego to get in this backline, be able to put some threat onto Messiah and Sunflower, because structure-wise, you're looking at Bucket John's team comp, and their setup is this very clean front to back, where as 4 at 20, they're looking to get in your face and just kind of dive on top. I think one thing to point out is Yasuo is not going to have much knock-up support, so Loki is kind of going to be maybe alone with this, or CLT in the mid lane. I lost track, but this Yasuo is really just going to have the Galio heroic entrance in terms of options for knockups, and that's not the most reliable of crowd control engages. So a lot of onus on this Yasuo to make stuff happen, and into the Poppy and the Vi, that is certainly a tall task, but it'll be fun to watch if they can start to achieve some of those combos regardless. Taking a quick peek at For Fun at 20 week 1. Let's see how they did. 2-0 against KCA. Looks like kind of just winning through their top side, which is something this draft hints at for sure. Picking a stable bot, something that is comfortable and is not necessarily going to sack lane, especially when you drop the Karma. I'd expect that bottom lane to have Prio early on, barring any missteps, which can be easy to do against the Zyrakan. And then kind of looking in week 2, see BJB also 2-0ing KCA. See them kind of same thing, just dominance all around with Messiah and Cleave, a reliable backline there. Whereas 4 at 20, playing Vibe Check, one of the strongest teams in the league, so definitely a tall task, but looks like they ended up falling down in relatively quick fashion It's just kind of everywhere there. Not really able to get things rolling. Let's get some tunes figured out. Oh my gosh, it's Bucket John from BucketJonBets. Oh my goodness, what an honor. Oh, gonna see things fleshed out here. Answers at least my questions in terms of where that Yasuo and where that Galio were going. Looks like they're opting to give the Yasuo a little bit more of a fun time in lane. Not going to have to deal with those high base damages of the Poppy. And should be able to farm it out okay into the Azir, utilizing that passive shield to not take too unfavorable of trades. Let me see the Karma come through. So top lane, kind of dissecting this game a little bit more. Top lane should be your kind of standard take matchup. Those are two tanks with very high base damages, especially on those basic abilities, both the Hammer Shock and the, I believe it's Winds of Justice or something. Those Q abilities coming through each side. So not expecting necessarily too much in the 1v1 to go down, but should be stable. Both top laners kind of looking to scale. In the jungle, we have Vi and Viego giving the edge to Viego early on, pre-6, if they do opt to skirmish in this one versus one. But don't really expect that to be the case. I should be seeing some full clears out of both of these junglers just to make sure they maintain pace and are going into these mid-game skirmishes with good econ. In the mid lane, this is the year into the Yasuo. The Azir, just naturally should get some priority early, but I don't think the Yasuo will be able to suffer too much. We'll see if BGen is able to kind of play around that priority that Sunflower, in theory, is getting. And then in the bot lane, I think that's where you're looking at for the most kind of volatile of lanes. You have this Zyricon, great explosive potential. If Messiah can ever get a root down, or if Cleave ever catches that Aphelios or the Karma on a misstep, they could be toast. But on the flip side, you have Aphelios and Karma. Speaking for myself a little, to give a little background to the rookie caster here. So I am the support player for Ninja Turks. We're kind of towards the bottom of the standings this season, and don't know if that's really going to change, but we'll see. So spent most of my time in the bottom lane. Been playing for quite a few years now. Played a small little college and hover around master tier if I can motivate myself to play enough solo queue games. A lot of bot lane experience, and playing into something like Aphelios Karma is not a good time. Karma pretty much wins all matchups other than those explosive hook matchups. So that's why we kind of saw it come through on R5. I think Mage wanting something that would be able to allow FF at 20 to have this winning lane that they can dictate, because you are playing eventually towards this topside skirmish, but you really can't see too much before then. And then the Aphelios coming through for chopped letters, that's just very strong range type champion. Should be able to outrange the Zaya, and you're looking to really poke in that Zaya Rakan, slowly shove them in, stack some waves, and build this gradual CS lead that eventually turns into item leads. And I think these first few skirmishes are when things are really going to break out for both of these teams. Soup, this is game one. We are just getting into it, just waiting for the spectator delay. You know the drill, ensuring competitive integrity. But as I was saying, I think those early skirmishes are what we should have our eyes on, and what are going to be kind of the game deciders. Because I think both teams have some strong snowballing, uh, and this way, whoever gets ahead is going to end up being able to run through the rest of those fights a lot easier. And like I said, rookie caster here. I've dabbled a little bit with just kind of co-streaming my old college games. I've co-streamed a few CLOL games, but definitely still picking up the craft. So any feedback is appreciated. If there's anything production related, if you want me to, shut up a little more, be a little louder, more energy, less energy, feel free to let me know. Just trying to keep this viewing experience as pleasant as possible, because this league has been a great thing to be a part of so far. One of the new teams, so only 2 weeks in, but production quality has been a treat with the few streams I've been able to tune into, with some of the things like the recap, all that goes into it. So we'll see how things end up breaking down. We see almost standard runes across the board. I am going to point our eyes towards this Grasp of the Undying on Sunflower. Silly little gamer. The mid jungle's there. A lot of silly little gamers in this lobby, huh? But so that Grasp, that Azir is really going to lean in towards that poke that we kind of mentioned and touched on earlier. You have that range advantage. You want to just use all you can to start that scaling early. Maybe a bit Chovy-esque, maybe gassing up Sunflower a little too much before we even get into game, but it's kind of what you see out of that Korean mid laner. Getting a lot of those procs, and if you can stack up um, those health stacks, then it lets you really sit in the face of what is this explosive top side of FF at 20. So we're going to see a bit of an invade coming through, but a stack on the other side with Sunflower alone. So this is a 4 versus 5, and Bucket Johns are going to realize that. Back it up, 3 versus 5, excuse me. Vi and Azir stacked on top of each other. Going to place the ward. Ends up just being a trade of wards on both sides, but that Rakan starting the sweeper is going to hide a little bit more info. Like I said, I expect full clear out of both of these junglers. Frozen Ace and Bijen. You're on Vi, you're on Viego. Not necessarily too much you can do early, unless you want to go for something bold that maybe the teams aren't expecting. And then pretty standard summoners as well. Mage opting for the Exhaust. I think that's a bit of an interesting pick here, because there's not necessarily too many targets you are looking to exhaust. You have, the Vi diving in, the Poppy kind of dives in. Usually you want to go exhaust to kind of ward off any backline threat. I would have been a fan of maybe trying to take the Ignite and try to punish Messire and Cleave a bit more here, as it does look like they are seeding some early prio. Playing respect to that Zyra Rakan level 1. I think Cleave did start the grand entrance, so does have a little bit of at least trading potential there. Leche taking over to level 2 first. Going to go in for a quick trade. Cleave doing the same. So Bucket John playing very well to their level 2 power spikes and getting an early advantage onto FF at 20, as heal was popped from Cleave as well. Just being very aggressive with that summoner, trying to force a bit out, but chopped letters and mage gonna be just fine. They'll be able to farm it up, pop a few potions. Trozik's going in for a bit of a trade. Ticks over to level 3. Is kind of walking Sunflower down here. Gonna stick around for the nado. Nope. Backing up. Leche going for a trade onto CLT. Blocks the dash with that steadfast presence, so is going to come out a little bit ahead of that trade. So it looks like mid lane is kind of where FF at 20 have their hopes right now, at least. You're getting pushed in these other 2 lanes, slowly starting to bleed CS. Nothing too problematic yet, whereas Trozix is actually getting this early prio thanks to that great trade we saw earlier Going in 2 points into the Steel Tempest, really helping that early trade. We see Frozen Ace did the full clear down on the map, but IBGen is here to counter, so we're going to have an early skirmish break out here. Frozen Ace walking in Cleave, going to be short on the grand entrance. Root coming through from Mage is going to end up stunning the Rakan, but Frozen Ace forced to flash out. Messiah flash chasing is going to be enough for first blood on the side of BucketJonBets. Just playing to their cooldowns well there. Cleave missing that initial knockup. Doesn't matter though, as Messiah is able to hit the Root Collar, lock down Frozen Ace into place, and IBGen an easy follow-up with the Vault Breaker from there. And Flash is not going to be enough for the jungler of FF at 20 to get out there. So some Summoner's Force, but this bot lane is primed to take over the game. Mentioned in Champ Select, eyes on Messiah for the side of BucketJon, and they are off to quite a good start already. 11 CS up, first back BF sword. Frozen Ace is going to be able to trade that scuttle back. As we see, I'd expect both junglers to kind of go back to their full clearing ways. There's a flash in from Trozix, forces the flash out from Sunflower, and that Ignite is ticking, and pop! Sunflower drops, Trozix on the Yasuo, making stuff happen for FF at 20. Recognizing he has that angle, he ticked over to level 5 and capitalizing. Flashing in aggressively, catching Sunflower a bit off guard there. And this is exactly what you want to see out of this explosive mid laner who has the confidence to take the Ignite. Gonna opt to play for lane and hit it. The Gambit has paid off so far. Getting that early kill. Got Berserker Greaves on first back. Giving some hope back to his FF at 20 team, as it looks like BucketJon's going to start up the dragon here. Should be theirs for the taking. Clean execution, push in the bottom lane. Make sure you have priority. And I'm sure they had an idea that Frozen Ace was in the midst of clearing his bottom side camps. More tank fights in the top lane. See, they're not really going to be able to kill each other, just chunk each other for some decent damage. Good taunt. Shield of Duran coming through from CLT means he's going to come out on top of that one. But Sephilo's Karma, they're in a bit of trouble as they have not gotten this poke down that you'd really expect. So Frozen Ace pathing back down to hopefully punish this flashless Saya. Root comes through even despite the Cleave knockup. Mage falling a bit low. Messiah going to try to trade it back. Cleave and Messiah standing toe-in-toe here, and Chopped Letters is going to flash in and be able to get the kill. Frozen Ace coming through with the reset, but in comes BGen with the Vault Breaker. Is not going to be enough to really capitalize. Feet of Warfare, 3 kills going over for the side of BucketJon. Sorry, to the side of FF at 20s. Frozen Ace, tempo-wise, just a little bit quicker to that bottom lane. We saw both junglers in that first set of clear. They started on the same side. They ended up meeting each other. Viego and Vi, very equal junglers, if you will. But this time around, because BGen took that Drake and then went to go farm his camps, Frozen Ace is first to the play here, and Messiah and Cleave did a great job kind of standing in the thick of things, trying to play it, but not quite enough. Eventually able to fall down. Mage and Chopped Letters playing the range well. Trozix gets shuffled back into a grand entrance knockup by Cleave, and that will do it for him. Falling low, it's all but a formality, as Sunflower getting on the board with his first kill, thanks to some good map movement out of BucketJon's. See a swap coming through as Grub's gonna be up in a little less than 30 seconds here, so I think both bot lanes kind of wanting to play around that. And we should see level 6s get ticked over too soon. No, Messiah's close. And once again, these next few skirmishes are big for both teams. You really want to try to snowball when you play these comps. And Frozen Ace going in early, gets knocked up by Cleave, and the chain GC is going to come down. But a massive ult by Chopped Letters is going to be enough to fall BGen. Cleave forced to back out here, and now Messiah caught in between a wall and Chopped Letters as he is getting shuriken down. Mage trying to give chase. Trozix coming through from the side too. Is going to be enough for the Xayah to fall down. And that is 2 kills for 1 for the side of FF at 20. Subs be damned. It don't matter. I mean, they are skirmishing beautifully here. Saw CLT even come through with the TP, ensuring if that fight were to break out longer, FF at 20 is going to come out on top. See, so Frozen Ace was caught there initially by the Vault Breaker, by the Grand Entrance, but able to maybe live a little longer than at least I expected, get a bit of damage down, and once Trozix came in, Mage came in, and a fantastic ulti, Moonlight Vigil with that blue gun coming through from Chop Letters is enough to turn the tide in what looked like a shaky start and secure 3 grubs for the side of FF at 20. As we are 9 minutes in and dead even on gold. Just seeing some good League of Legends here. I mean, an early swap, good play around objectives, both teams skirmishing. You haven't really seen too many mistakes, which is an absolute pleasure when we're talking about two teams that are kind of looking to crack into higher seeded playoffs. As CLT is going to be a bit down gold onto Leche. Sacked a bit for his team, trying to get up there, ensuring things went well. He's going to look for a quick trade here. Frozen Ace coming down for the river. Keep your eye there. Keeper's Verdict is going to come out and knock the galley away. Will Frozen Ace be able to clean this up? As Heartbreaker comes down, Heroic Entrance over top too. Frozen Ace going to flash in to secure that following Leche's flash. And that will be kill number 4 over to the Viego. This top side is doing exactly what they need to for the side of FF at 20 early on here. You're getting these bruisers ahead and enabling them to win these next few kind of skirmish setups if things continue going well for FF. Dragon spawning in 5 seconds. Poppy going towards top lane, does have that TP now coming off the base, and it looks like FF at 20 is going to be a bit behind on the play, but not going to see anything started up yet. Sunflower with the road back in the tower on CLT means that Azir ulti is going to be down for Drake. Mage and Chop Letters could be caught between here trying to save the tower as ulti comes in for BGen. Messiah following up too, and Chop Letters is just chain CC to death. Not too much they could do there. Trying to defend that tower that was already pretty low, getting set up for Drake. Understand the vision, but just a great executed dive from BGen. No hesitation, jumping right in there. Vault Breaker comes through, and Cleve and Messiah are there to follow up with their jungler's call. Drake going to be started up, and with no 80 carry on the side of FF at 20, be an easy secure for the buckets, or the bets. Is there a preference, Bucket John? I don't know if you're still here. I think it could kind of go either way. You got a fun name there. So that first kind of tipping point skirmish coming through, and it wasn't even a skirmish really. It was just that one pick, and that's the mark of a great team. Taking one kill and being able to kind of turn it into more there. Getting their second Drake of the game are Bucket Johns, and that's a position they definitely want to be in as well, because they have this scaling front to back comp, so getting some early Drakes means you may be able to push the pace a little bit more, or on the flip side, kind of hold things back and weather the storm that Frozen Ace and Trozix may be bringing in the next 10-15 minutes here. So another swap coming through from Bucket Johns. Really just leaning into getting Messiah as much resources as they can. Almost 1,000 gold up. That 1.5k gold lead is pretty much off the back of the top laner and AD of Bucket John. Been swapping around well, playing through kills, and we have Gen looking for another play underneath the tower as Chain CC comes through yet again, and where have we seen this story as another cleanly executed play from the Buckets. CLT maybe just losing track of the Vi there, walking up, and BGen's not going to hesitate to pull that trigger. Q comes through, and on the opposite side of the map, there's no play here. Leche with the Keeper's Verdict out for Chop Letters. Pushes the wave out too, and Frozen Ace has exposed himself. They need to get this kill quick and get out because BGen is here for follow-up. And the Vault Breaker comes in, and that will be enough. And Chop Letters walking up a little too deep as 2 more kills going over to the Vi. Now 2-1-4. Making stuff happen. Frozen Ace was putting in some work in the early game. Definitely had BGen's number. But right now, 6 out of 7 kill participations coming through for this Vi. BGen is getting ready to snowball this game as Trozik's taking a bit of an unfavorable trade as Sunflower shuffles on out of the way. And Trozik's forced to walk out with low health. Forced to flash out as BGen shows their face. And just like that, 4K gold lead 14 minutes in here. Objective bounties coming online soon. That's how you know things got out of hand. Blink and you'll miss it, folks. BucketJonBets, one of the top teams of Group B, showing why that's the case. Just a few kills here and there on either side of the map, rotating well. Angles you may not necessarily expect, and angles they are pulling off with no hesitation. Snap judgment, and starting to build quality gold lead for themselves. Should stable out at 4K. We have this next Drake in a minute and a half. Next set of Herald is spawning in 4 minutes, so maybe there's a play there, but I wouldn't expect FF to want to contest that. Just it's a little easier from our point of view seeing the gold lead, but that's a tough fight to pull off. So we're going to seed the Herald over, keep trying to farm up. You do have Bork on the Yasuo, Triforce on the Viego, and Hollow Radiance on the Galio, so 1 item spikes coming through. That Aphelios is a bit behind, though. Really want at least 1 item out of him before looking to take that dragon fight. Should be able to get it on the base, but may kind of lose vision around it as Cleave starts to make their way down. Placing some wards in the river. Yeah, so my eyes are still going to be on this Viego and Yasuo in this potentially upcoming Soul Point fight. That's really the only damage you have on the side of FF at 20. This Aphelios will be able to pump out damage, but I think unless we see another insane Moonlight Vigil with just the Yuntal arrows, it's tough to see too much happening there. As Messiah and Cleave not quite going to be able to knock down that mid tower. And now Dragon spawning in 20 seconds here. And both teams posturing around it. Trying to get this priority in the mid wave first before rotating in. CLT on the Galio does have TP available to make his way down for any potential fight that breaks out. As BGen kind of caught out in the river here, but they're going to get pincered. RFF at 20. Cleave goes in. 2 flashes and ultis onto the backline of Chopped Letters, but a 3-man knockup on the other side. Frozen Ace into the backline, forces Messiah to Featherstorm out, and the flashes come through to chase him down. Xayah goes down. It's all up to Sunflower now, DPS-wise, on the side of BucketJon's. 3 versus 4 as teams falling quickly here. Mage quite low on the health bar as well, as BGen able to kind of clutch up that fight there in what was a very explosive skirmish 17 minutes into the game here. Chopped Letters on that Aphelios just got pounced on. Flash engage from Rakan. The Vi ulti coming in as well. As Trozik's doing some gliding here onto Leche. Is going to chase him through the river. But does get stunned, and the chain CC is going to come through. And kill number 2 going over to Sunflower. As I think Sunflower drifted the Herald all the way around during that. That was pretty wicked. Drake is going to go over. That is now Soul Point for the side of BucketJon's off of a very well played explosive fight that was, I think, tough enough to follow, or we could kind of jump back here and try to see what really went down. As both teams diving respective backlines here. 3-man knockup from Leche coming through is going to help peel Messiah, and I think that may have just bought enough time. You know, you're going to trade 2 ADs here, but off of those multi-man, off that multi-man knockup, CLT in a bit of a bad position trying to peel for his AD carry, and by this point it's a 3 versus 4, and that's always going to be tough to win on these low health bars that FF at 20 kind of had from chasing them down. Keep my eyes. Who ended up taking the Herald? It was Sunflower. Yeah, so Sunflower just kind of was just gliding. He just get the charge, and then he shuffled on out and picked up the kill on Trazix, who was trying to chase Leche, who did have the flash, unfortunately, as it did look like a great angle for FF initially, but falling short there as Drake goes over, and we'll try to catch up to live here, as it looks like another kill went down on some timeline spoilers. Yeah, Leche may be overcommitting. See, BucketJon's kind of strong siding bot with Cleave getting some wards for that Azir, playing the side lane, Frozen Ace, recognizing that, capitalizing, canceling the Keeper's verdict, and a 3-man squad is going to be enough for a flashless Leche to fall down. Thanks, Brandino. Appreciate it. Those are the guys who beat us in that banger series, Ninja Turts v Coin Flip. And then, you know, I think humbly we can say it maybe did come down to a bit of a coin flip there. If we had maybe one more Drake in that game 3, things could have been closer. If we didn't pull for that mid-hit hit and weren't getting caught out by some crazy plays. But action breaking out as Frozen Ace is caught out by Cleave, who falls down, and CLT once again caught in a bit of a sticky situation as tries to heroic entrance in to save his team, and really just ends up screwing himself over. 2 more kills going over to the side of BucketJon's. Yeah, that Ivern top is going to keep me up at night. The spicy picks the Midwest League needs. Trazix delivering a little bit of that zone. Piloting the Yasuo very well. I've been pretty impressed in what is a very tough Yasuo game to pilot. I mean, no real knockups around his team, and not necessarily a great amount of immobile kind of carries to punish. You have Zaya who can self-peel, and then you're trying to dash through these fights into a Poppy. Can be a tough time. Age 2 also kind of silently having a solid game. I can't remember who's I know CLT's a sub in, and then there's a Filled player as well, but Mage doing quite well. I mean, scoreline isn't always the full story, but in this case I think definitely is. Navigating the Karma, trying to play things safe. It's just another engage from BucketJon's. They know when to pull the trigger, right behind BGen and Cleave. They say go, Sunflower and Messiah follow up, and that is kill number 3 for this Azir, who's really starting to scale up, and alongside that backline of Messiah, towers continuing to get pushed into and fall. Leche TPing the mid, keeping that safe. Just another clean game from BucketJon's. Yeah, I think the Galio, you know, it's always tough drafting something like I'm not sure what CLT's champion pool is really like. Galio's great into AP. But the problem with taking an early Galio is because I believe Galio was taken on R1 after seeing the Azir on B1, and BucketJon's, hats off to them drafting around that. You know, you only have this Azir as AP damage, so it can be, you're maybe not as tanky as you'd like to be when Brandino was suggesting it, at least. Let me fix my cursor here. As 22 minutes into this game, 7k gold lead, really ballooning for the side of BucketJon's, as they're looking to start to run away with things here. Taunt coming through. CLT is in a bit of a tough situation. Really going to be nothing but able to just farm, as this Drake spawns in 5 seconds. Would be soul for BucketJon's, means FF may want to fight this. Mage kind of caught out here, stunned into the wall, and follow up who else but BGen and Cleave side by side. Chain CC coming through. I've seen that multiple times this game. Just playing some good, honest League of Legends, getting some good wards, catching off some vision. I mean, it's very tough to navigate a game state like this for FF at 20, especially when you're playing that squishy flashless support. You know Soul's coming up. You know you want to try to contest it and get some wards, and that stuff is just going to happen when you're playing up against a good team. On the flip side, CLT and Frozen Ace able to pick up a kill onto Sunflower. Frozen Ace has been really good at punishing these side lane plays, but again BGen and again Cleave diving into the back line, killing off this bottom lane of FF20, and now they're just going to hit the towers. Keeper's Verdict comes out and clears the way for Messiah to free hit. Rest of the team of FF20 is trying to get back here to defend, but not sure if it's going to be quite enough, as Inhib is going to fall now 24 minutes into the game. Never did quite catch back up to live, as this game has been insanely explosive. They have 17 kills on one side, 9 kills on the other. We're over a kill a minute. Exactly what you want on a nice Friday night of some League of Legends. CLT going to continue to try to farm that side lane, and it looks like BucketJon's going to play towards this top side, pushing vision there. So we'll see if FF20 tries to respond by taking them on as they walk into the river, maybe playing opposite side, but Frozen Ace maybe a bit caught out as Cease and Desist comes through. Now 16 KP on that Vi. Just gifting Messiah another kill. I mean, we haven't even gotten to the point where Messiah and Sunflower really need to pop off. This game has been all about Cleave, all about BGen, making these plays happen. CLT forcing Leche under tower to give himself an alright trade, but Baron going to be started up with Frozen Ace picked off. And now 26 minutes in, almost a 10k gold lead. This game is all but a formality, you have to think. This BucketJon should be able to march this in a nice clean 4-1 and begin to march on the base of FF at 20s. Not opting to back, so you know, if you are on the side of FF at 20, that's what you're saying. Like, okay, they haven't spent some of this gold. They're sitting on, you know, a few thousand each. So maybe we can find some miracle fight, you know, trying to hold the line. But a Keeper's Verdict is going to come out, and the dive comes through. Cleave flashes in. Charm onto 3. Sunflower finding the road onto 3 as well. The heroic entrance of Galio is not going to be enough, as Moonlight Vigil onto 4. Not quite enough damage for the Aphelios, as the wallets are just too big on the side of BucketJon's. They're able to dive these towers easily. Picking off Mage, picking off Frozen Ace. CLT is going to fall third. And with the Baron buff, that should be the end of this game 1. As BucketJonBets going to pad the stats a little bit more as BGen comes in, gets another well-deserved kill. 23-9, 27 minutes in, a dominant game 1 from BucketJonBets. Yeah, it's always a kind of tough situation to fight there when you see games like that, because they really did play it well that last fight. I mean, you saw a massive Moonlight Vigil come through. They're playing around their towers, but when you have that 10k gold lead, it's I mean, we've all been there. It can be tough. I mean, stat-wise here, you know, just a well-balanced game all around on both sides, really. Even the Karma pumping out a bunch of damage there, that second AP source. I think CLT into Leche. We saw that tank versus tank. It was, you know, a bit more favored for Leche after that early TP from CLT to the top side, but other than that, I mean, pretty standard top lane game. This game was really won by BGen and Cleave making stuff happen in that mid game. 20 KP and 19 KP respectively. in the 23 kills total for their team. And it's just impressive. Danielson. Man, people always hated on the icons, man. If you're clicking on them, you make them bigger. It's just what you should do. I can make them smaller, but like, what fun is that? It's all here. That way I don't miss them. Some personal tech. So we should be able to get into game 2 shortly here. I'm going to step away for a little bit. Take a break. Have to recover. I mean, I'm just crying, you know. Not the Zoom icon, man. I haven't even opened up Zoom in like in years. It's just still there from I guess just a reminder. Yeah, let me get rid of that. Thank you. Wow. For 20. Damn. Kamikaze. Oh gosh. Hey, they lasted 27, so you know that's something. Oh no, kittens! You the type of person to just throw everything on there. I listen. We probably shouldn't look at my work laptop because that may be kind of the getup I have. So I understand both sides. You know, like enough desktop talk though. Yeah, lots of love coming through for FF at 20. You know, it's a tough team to play against in Bucket John's here, and so and they navigated the early game and some of that mid game well. I mean, Frozen Ace on that Viego was able to get around the map, make stuff happen. Trozix on that comfort pick Yasuo, styling a bit too. Solo kill onto Sunflower early on, but now I think eyes towards game 2. FF at 20 gonna be hitting the drawing room a little bit, figuring out what to adjust going into game 2. And for the side of Bucket Johns, they are going to probably run it back. You know, kind of looking at their past games, this is a style they're very comfortable with. They, you know, leave the playmaking to BGen and just clean synergy all around. Will set Messiah and Sunflower up to carry in the late game. We see Messiah topping the damage charts. Like I said, this game 1 was the story of BGen and Cleave, but Messiah and Sunflower are reliable carries come the late game. We saw Leche with some clutch keeper verdicts as well. So really hats off to everyone here. I'm going to step away briefly for game 2. And be back soon. This is not familiar with the overlay graphics, so this is what y'all are getting. Midwest League people are probably cringing, but we'll see y'all soon. Alrighty, we are back. Alright, getting back in here. See what I missed. Anything important happening in chat? Oh yes, very important things here. Nightbot and some lovely messages coming out of some members here. Leche and Cleve having some fun in the chat. Doing all right, Pens? Oh my goodness. Yep. Game 2 hype. Nice part about these game 2s in a league like this, you know, even if it was kind of one-sided, when you have this fearless setup, you know there's always going to be this other element that you can play towards. Draft is going to be forced to adjust. So, like I said, we'll see what FF at 20 do to adapt. As do have the draft flow link. We're just waiting on a few more things here for teams to get themselves ready. Kind of as a reminder, this was the game 1 draft here. And so we saw a pretty, I guess, standard draft as mentioned coming through. You have the Azir, the Vi. We'll see if like a similar thing comes out. Oh, I haven't used this in ages. Uh-oh. Yeah, some issues with Frozen. Hopefully everything's okay. Obviously some things are a little more important. Yeah, we should be getting in here shortly. Looks like the teams are not switching sides. That's first thing to note here. So, blue side coming through for FF at 20. Alright, blue side coming through for BJB. And we have FF at 20 taking red side again. So, like I said, game 1, when you have a dominant game 1 like that, you'd probably expect a similar thing. Mel, Echo, and Diana. We'll see if that actually plays out for BucketJons. Just checking in on those pings. We are getting into draft here. So yeah, we see the Echo come through. Expecting more of the same. And on the other side, I think you do want to get rid of this Nefiri again. Just a very strong blind pick jungler, and we saw what BGen was able to do with something like the Vi. So, expecting some bans to be mirrored here. Just sit back, enjoy the show. pretty close NBA game right now, too. 46 even for the Warriors and the Rockets. It's been quite the playoffs. Hopefully able to catch... well, it's a win-win, I guess. You know, if FF at 20 take this game 2 back and we get a game 3, then we know we have a series on our hands, and that will be entertaining to watch. On the flip side, I'll have a nice basketball game to watch if that doesn't pan out. As we see Caitlyn ban coming through. Like I said, when things, you know, I don't think there's any big ban shifts yet. As BGen tried to get rid of Irelia here, so that's an Irelia ban. Fill that in. Help track things. So that's a little different than the Diana. So I wonder if BJB, they're leaving the Diana open because the Yasuo is taken out of the Fearless. So you don't have the that threat, that dual threat there. So that's something to consider. You know, I'd argue sometimes things do change, Gio. You know, not all the time. I think you usually have a stock set of bans. As Ari comes through instead of a Caitlyn ban, so that will be interesting to see if something else gets picked up. As we are just getting all lost. We love draft lull, don't we? Yeah, jumping into the Fearless draft link. All right. So we'll see the same bands come through. Just kind of speeding along. Huh. Alrighty. The anticipation is building. I mean, what an exciting thing to be a part of, no? Alright, we are back. Apologies for kind of going AWOL there. So, Pantheon first pick for Bucket Johns. Solid first pick right now, as that is kind of a flex pick. You have a few different options there. Whether you want to do support Pantheon, top Pantheon, jungle Pantheon. We've even seen mid Pantheon. So, something to definitely keep an eye out for. Is really how that will break down. As Wukong gonna be the answer. That should be going into the hands of Frozen Ace. We saw them pilot kind of this AD skirmishing jungler well in game 1, so more of the same for the monkey in game 2. And this is where we have a switch up. The Anivia for FF at 20. Expecting that to be mid, as Trozix, that would be quite a different look compared to the Yasuo. I think only maybe it's a to top lane Anivia, but that would be surprising. And Zyra comes through for BucketJon, so I think that maybe rules out the Pantheon jungle. And now we're kind of looking at top or support. And given BucketJon's a good damage spread, looking for a bit of a different drafting identity this game too, as they have this Zyra Pantheon, not necessarily this frontline jungler. As Geo, I guess it could be a CLT Anivia. I mean, are we getting crazy on a Friday night here in the Midwest League on R2 without even seeing what you playing into? CLT wants the Anivia. I'm gonna hold my excitement until we really see a Swain coming through as well. So this is gonna be a little interesting. That Swain could also be flexed, but I'd expect the Swain to be bottom lane there. Plays well into the Varus. You're really just looking to farm up. Probably going to have to seed things over to Messiah early on, but once you get into later fights, I do like the Swain into the Zyra specifically, because into Swain, when you're the Swain, you want to be popping the ulti and sitting in fights. Your greatest strength on a character like Swain is the drain taking potential. So sitting in fights and being able to do that damage, stay alive, and into Zyra, that is just kind of always going to happen, because Zyra is a character that isn't this burst damage. It's damage over time, looking to burn people with Leandries, as it was a Rel ban, and now a Leona ban traded. So once again, FF at 20 saving Mage and Chop Letters for this R4 and 5. I think you're really hoping it maybe pays a little more dividends for them compared to game 1, as things went a little south early on, just because of the 3v3 fights, and then from there BucketJon's Messiah and Cleave swapping out of the direct laning of the Karma and the Aphelios, prevent themselves from taking too much poke, means they were able to scale up just fine, and we kind of saw how that went for them past around that 16-minute mark once things started breaking out. As a Braum and a Zillion ban coming through, so when you see something like a Braum ban, you're kind of thinking Cleave is leaning towards maybe a Nautilus, maybe a Leona, something more engage heavy. That would be something that BucketJons could kind of use on their team right now, as Chop Letter's gonna hover over this Jhin here, is gonna be locked in. That's gonna be a comfortable pick into the Varus. Just we're kind of in a utility AD carry meta, from my perspective at least, where you want AD carries with long range who will always be able to support their team, if not with damage, at least with some sort of crowd control. That was a role we saw range-wise, Aphelios and Jhin pilot somewhat similarly, so Chop Letters navigating the Aphelios well. We'll see how they're able to do on the Jhin, as Silas coming through on 4 for BucketJons. And that should kind of just leave support on 5 here, or top lane. I guess it really could go either way, as we do have the Swain mid and the Anivia top probably start to really flesh out the draft and make me kind of look like an idiot as I try to fill dead space and talk about what's going where, and then I'm just inevitably be wrong, because by golly, we're just pulling out Anivia top. So Corki coming through. So I think we're looking at a Silas top, Corki mid, Varus Panth bot, Zyra jungle. But I will once again hold my reservations here, as this is a I mean, yeah, I don't know. Anybody could go anywhere. You could even throw the Varus mid if you wanted to. And I don't know how much BucketJons feel like cooking after a good game 1 performance. As Darius going to be locked in. So it's not even support on 5. It's just debating me. And maybe BucketJons got debated too. I'm sure that was the hope. As I think maybe we're looking at a Swain Jhin bot. Yeah, Geo, I'm a bit lost, man. You break it down as good as I could. Like this could be anything on both sides as well. I think it really depends how spicy you want to get. I think regardless, we're gonna have quite a fun game to watch. We had a very bloodthirsty game last time around, and this game too is shaping up to be the same thing. Just looking at the characters we have on our screen right now, should be a fun time. Draft is done. Like I said, I don't. This is like you don't even want to talk about draft because you don't know where anything's going. I think you maybe kind of look towards this team fight. I do agree with you, Gio. Having Silas into Swain is very nice for the Silas as you get to steal that ulti and do your drain tank thing. Did mention the Swain is comfortable drain tanking. Silas, kind of a similar vein with that Kingslayer heal. And with the Swain ulti on top, is going to be able to just sit in the midst of these fights and probably wreak some havoc on FF at 20. Unless it's just a Silas support, and then it's like, who knows. Um, so we'll kind of see how things play out as bans and picks will get mirrored.
My countenance is already, even if you are not. Shall I turn in my badge and rifle as well? Tyrant.
Be excited to watch this game too roll down.
You don't have to be afraid of
Both teams opting for something a bit more fun, really on both sides, which is always nice to see. After coming off of like a tough loss, it's good to mix things up. I think that's definitely what FF at 20 are doing here. They're playing a different style, a little more in your face. A little more kite back, if anything, actually. Not this heavy commit of the Galio and the Yasuo. Giving CLT a bit more agency, too. I mean, this is going to play not at all like a Galio top does, so what a shout, Geo. CLT's Anivia is coming out. That should be a treat. Pantheon top for Leche, unless they're just bait and switching us again, mixing things up. Wukong in the jungle. That one I know. That's in the right spot. So Frozen gonna be looking to navigate that as well as they can. Darius gonna be locked in the mid. That has to be swapped, right? Playing Darius into Corki, I feel like is not a good time. Darius and really any range top laner, and the problem with playing Darius mid, and maybe it isn't a problem. I'm not too versed in the Darius mid myself, but you are playing in a shorter lane, so a lot of Darius' kill potential comes from stacking up that passive, getting those 5 autos off, and large stacks of hemorrhage bleed. Generally how you win trades, how you win fights. And in a short lane, it's a lot easier for you to get just outrun and kited back to tower versus top lane. You have that longer lane, you have a little bit more of a threat onto the enemy solo laner. You see the rest of things getting fleshed out here. I guess it will be a Silas support. Messiah gonna lock in the Varus, and then Cleave after that dominant Rakan game. I guess has the green light to go for something like this Silas. There's a few good ultis to steal here with the Swain, and well, I'm not too much of a fan of Wukong ulti, but getting that Swain ult in team fights is going to be huge for the Silas, even if it is a support Silas. And these 2 drain tanks are going to be supports. Why not, These are the things Fearless brings out. He just kind of opens the door. May not have it planned, but just send it. It'll be a good time. So, still kind of on the edge of my seat here for any potential trades, but looks like we will be able to start kind of forming our opinions and breaking down maybe what's going to happen in this upcoming what is sure to be a bloodbath. As so Pantheon into Anivia is going to be a good time for Pantheon. Um, sorry, a good time for Anivia. You got to think. Anivia is very tough to pilot, but if you are able to and keep your range, farm it up, like you'll be able to kite out Pantheon well. The issue there is like if you do ever misstep, Pantheon has that high base damage to punish the Anivia. So pretty volatile top lane. In the mid lane, Corki into Darius. I mean, I'm not too fluent in Darius mid, but that one should just be Sunflower favored again. You have range into melee. It's a pretty baseline analysis there, but we did see, what was it, Tiza? Don't want to butcher too much here. But on the Yasuo last game, we saw Sunflower get solo killed, even into the range matchup, Trozix. So maybe he's got something cooking with the Darius mid, and we'll be able to run that Corki down. In the bottom lane, Jhin and Varus are going to be, pretty even into each other. Kind of just depends on who can land their abilities on the other. And then for the support matchup, I think that's actually Sylas favored. Played a little bit of Sylas support. I don't think new Swain works as well in the support role. I think you generally want more gold to play the role of that drain tank. You don't quite have that higher burst damage that the character used to when he worked better in support. That being said, if these never moves can land and then follow up with Mage and Chop Letters, double rooting, you have a chance. But other than that, I think Sylas and Varus are a very explosive bottom lane, and Cleave and Messiah are set up to dominate this lane, really. I think the base damages are frankly just going to be too high. And in the midst of all that, while all that's happening, I'd expect IB-Gen to just be full clearing. That's kind of what the Zyra does. Just trying to keep pace, keep Econ up. That way, get some early objectives, be first to those objectives, set up, and be annoying with plants. And on the flip side, the Wukong should be looking to try to make plays, really anywhere around the map. I think you look at all of these lanes, and you're comfortable snowballing and ganking through any of them because they could all potentially carry the game on either side. When you have these crazy drafts like this, it's anybody's game. It's like who's gonna get ahead, and then it may not even matter who gets ahead. It could just be like, well, I'm just expecting some chaos, and hopefully it's some good chaos that I can kind of follow along and track and give me a little more play-by-play action, as that's one of my more enjoyable parts of casting, personally. Yeah, so it's kind of speaking on the base damage thing of that Varus and Sylas. Messiah are going for Hail of Blades, so that means wants to trade aggressively, and Cleave going for the Electrocute. A lot of Electrocutes across the board. I mean, that's just a strong rune right now. Buffed it recently, so very high base damage to start to make stuff happen. As we'll get everything kind of fixed here. Pull up the frames and see if anything kind of funky breaks out again, but I'd expect some standard 5 points across the board. Maybe a few brief invades to try to get some more information on what are, once again, likely to be two full clearing junglers. CLT, I'm really interested to watch the Anivia top. I mean, I know I'm keeping the camera on it too much, but that will be the lane to watch for FF at 20. CLT subbing in, trying to help FF at 20 overcome that rough game one and really just a rough last week as well. So I think just a big game for the mentals of this team as they begin to they have their eyes set towards playoff. Anytime you have an early win, you're looking to go far in a short season like this. Every game does count. So yeah, it goes. Jungler starting on opposite side. So Wukong will be pathing towards that top lane, trying to get that Anivia ahead. Zyra said you're playing towards that winning bot lane uh, of the Sylas Varus, and we'll kind of see how that eventually plays out. As Cleve and Messiah are going to be spotted going into the bush, but shouldn't matter because Mage and Chop Letters just aren't going to be able to hold their own level 1. The Abscond Abduct is what Cleve elects to start as well, so it's going to be extra tough for them to walk up as they're just full zoning. They're not even taking minions of their own. That is crazy, man. Oh my gosh. It's tough to play, and this is not even something you can prep for, Ward goes down in the bush, and that's exactly what you want in this bottom lane here. As Cleve, Abscond Abduct forward, Ignite drops down, and a Flash Barrier out from Chop Letters. Playing very respectfully. See Leche getting some early push in onto CLT. That's just kind of how Anivia works. You don't have too much wave clear stuff going on early. Does get the stun, but now, as much as I want to watch this Anivia top lane, Chop Letters is in trouble here. As use the barrier and the flash. We'll kind of see how things go. How's it going, Connor? Showing some love for the Midwest esports, trying to get a cast in, and because I know there's some busy people, so any way we can help what has been a very welcoming and fun league to be a part of. Do what I can. I mean, this bottom lane is just dumpstering this Mage Chop Letters as Abscond Abduct forward in for Cleve. Stun comes through and Mage is just cooked. Flash is not going to be enough to get him out. This Sylas support pick from Cleve. He's chopping him up, if you will. And now this Chop Letters Jhin with no flash. Zyra full and clearing on the way down. Cleve flashes out, able to live. Well executed tower dive from the side of BucketJon. CLT flashing out of the egg to stay alive too, and a solo kill coming through for the Anivia top. Leche, some inspired milk there. CLT guzzling that down. Mage is able to get a kill on Sylas on the backside too, as I assume it was maybe just a route into a tower shot. Nope, just ticks over to that level 3, and with the base damage of the Ignite, Cleve just maybe having a little too much fun there. Is checking in on the mid lane amongst all this action. We have Trozix struggling a bit. Opted for Ghost to have that Darius chase down. And Frozen Ace can top. The wall comes through, and now Frozen Ace with the red buff slowing him down. Seal Tree trying to give chase. No flash on the Pantheon. Stun comes through as well. And 3 kills now, once again. Going over first to the side of FF at 20. As this Anivia top. I guess it's exactly what you want out of the pick. Crashing this huge wave that Leche is going to miss out on. Well played by Cleve. Just really squeezing out every single ounce of advantage in this bottom lane. And they may have to, because playing into an Anivia is no fun for anyone. CLT having that pocket pick on the ready. Not many people saw that coming. Not many people saw Sylas support coming. So I hope this is something you tune into and are as excited as I am, at least, to see. Similar to last game, BucketJon's getting this early priority in the bottom lane, rotating that over to the Drake to start stacking those up very early on. As this Zyra clearing well, despite the Wukong having the kill, that 10 CS advantage for BGen is going to be enough to give the Zyron a comfortable gold lead as Cleve looking for an abscond abduct forward, catches chopped letters as another aggressive trade. Ignite got down, traded for the barrier, and the piercing arrow finds its mark for Messiah. It's another kill coming through for this very explosive bot lane pick as Mage falling a little low too. Cleve wants some actions. Kingslayer is forward, and the piercing arrow is going to bring Mage down to sub 100 health. Tower shot taken by Cleve. Wow, this guy's just... a little bit of minion blockage there. Probably kicking himself over that one, but at the end of the day, just a 1-for-1 is Frozen Ace going in on a B-Gen, but B-Gen to level 6. Root from Jin in the distance is not going to be enough to do anything, and Mage walking right in to this Varus is going to fall down as well. CLT can't exactly watch his team collapse around him as he's trying to drag him back in it onto Leche. And we cut to Trozix, now 30 CS down. This Darius counterpick on R5 is really not doing what you'd be hoping it was doing as an FF fan. Darius is not one of those champs that scales well either. You want to be snowballing, and especially in a game like this, you know, you're looking like, who is Darius actually hitting comfortably here? Yes, he has the ghost, so maybe he can make something happen there, but Trozix in quite the hole already. We'll see how they're able to dig themselves out. Maybe leaning on the Anivia, as there's not too much to lean on the other sides of the map here, as Cleve and BGen orchestrating potentially a 7.5-minute dive here, but no wave is going to keep Mage and Jin safe for the time being. Cleve just is exactly what you want to see out of this very aggressive winning matchup. You know, play the lines of vision, force these defensive wards, because that pretty much gives your jungler free path into the entire bot side of the map. And so Frozen Ace, kind of knowing that, has to look top lane. Trozix rotating into the top lane, gets the pull back. Leche still no flash from earlier. Cyclone comes through, and a dunk as well. 5th kill for FFS20. And I told you all it'd be bloody. We are now 8 minutes in with 10 kills. And a little bit of closure in that gold lead. So it looks like FF is opting to swap the Anivia into the mid lane, but this Corki has been farming up nicely, and Sunflower is sitting pretty enough to trade aggressively onto that Frozen Bird. Grub's going to be started up. BGen walking up to contest, but is alone for the time being. Leche getting in a position for that Grand Starfall is going to come down. Root comes through onto Frozen Ace, who's forced to clone out, using that Warrior Trickster well, but not going to be able to get that last Void Grub, as it will be a 2-to-1 trade, and we see just the dominance of this Silas Varus bottom lane. You know, recognizing the counterpick angle here, just comfortably able to push in this Jin and Swain, who really can't do anything about it other than try to pick up the farm that they can as they watch tower plates slowly fall too. 4-0 on this Varus, has 350 gold bounty already as Trozix trading aggressively in the top lane. This is the Darius into the Pantheon that FF at 20 wanted, and forces the flash out as Chopped Letters walking up, taking a decent chunk as Curtain Call comes through from the support Silas and lands all 4. Props to Cleve. That's going to force the bottom lane of FF back as we see the top lane of BucketJon's force back as well. Just a lot to keep up with all around the map. Some very aggressive trading from these two teams in Group B here. It's Frozen Ace in a position to close the gap here. Warrior Trickster's over. Cleve caught out, forced to flash backwards as Mage does the same. So ultimately just a trade of a few summoners there. As Mage, maybe a little bit scarred from that Silas support damage earlier, paying respect. Getting out. BGen 2 levels up on this Wukong. Farming well. We saw Cleve come in, going for a prediction on that Warrior Trickster. Gotta respect that. Just fell a little short. Sunflower, not highlighting them as much, but they've had this reliable, you know, 30 CS lead. They're doing a little bit of chovying, if you will. farming up very comfortably, trading aggressively, getting plates all solo. As CLT on the Anivia is able to trade it back a little bit, but it's not as comfortable as a matchup as Into the Pan. CLT once again kind of sacking a little bit for the team, trying to get Trozix back into this game on the Darius. But this gold lead is already 3K, 11 minutes in. Drake number 2, thanks to more bot priority, is going to go over to the buckets. Trozik's going to continue to farm up here. You know, I think if you're Bucket Johns, you're pretty comfortable with the situation of the game right now. You have Sunflower, who's been farming up a storm, is forced to flash out there. CLT Anivia, man, he's making stuff happen. But you know, the other side, pretty much everywhere else around that Anivia is falling apart. You know, this Wukong in attempts to make plays, it's quite punishable into a full clear Zyra if you're really not making a lot of stuff happen. And we kind of see Exhibit A here, BGen still 2 levels up, level 9 on that Zyra, farming well thanks to some good priority from Sunflower and the bottom lane of Cleave Messiah, able to just walk in and kind of take some jungle camps away from the Wukong. Root coming through on a CLT, but Frozen Ace in the area is going to flash over the wall. Cyclone comes through, and that's going to be killing onto Sunflower. Grand Starfall coming in, forces CLT into the egg as Frozen Ace jumping onto IB Gen as Cyclone comes through as well. But that's going to be the end of that fight as CLT pops out of the egg, kiting down to the bottom lane, but he's going to be right into the bottom lane of BucketJonBets. So turns back, gets stunned by Leche, trying to trade a little bit back, but Frozen Ace has to watch his mid laner fall. He tries to get out of there on the Wukong as well. Mage roaming up, and now Cleave kind of catches chopped letters off to the side. Barrier forced out, Flash forced out. Messiah, piercing arrow, lines up the shot as Mage forces the Swain ult. He traded back with the Silas. Aggressive trading, still going back and forth. Mage, no flash on the Swain is going to be a 6 kill for the Varus as Messiah is chasing for more with the piercing arrow. And Bucket Johns are living in this bottom lane. Frozen Ace trying to clear the wave, do what he can, but is going to fall quite low. Cleave, the abscond duck is enough to close the gap and get that kill. Leche, a level down in the top lane, is trading well into Trozix as the Darius is forced to retreat as well. And just disaster all around the map for FF at 20 and elation around the map for Bucket Johns as they're filling up nicely, if you will. Crickets. Looks like CLT trying to make a roam down, but you are this Anivia. I mean, what can you really make happen? It's tough to say. As 14 minutes in here, Messiah and Cleave have almost knocked down this bottom lane tower. And we see damage on all these outer towers. And what has pretty much been solo. I mean, IB Gen is doing their job on this Zyra, just farming it up. So, trade in the top lane. Trozix using the Ghost, able to get those autos off. Full stack Hemorrhage, enough for a kill. Some shots in the bot lane traded back and forth as Chain of Corruption came out from Messiah, which was enough to kill the Swain. Mage, still no flash. IB Gen trying to cover this top lane here. Not let Trozix kind of get away with too much. It's kind of a similar tale to last game here, where it's really on the top side of FF at 20, but they don't, without this huge lead to try to carry FF at 20's hopes and their bottom lane through a rough early game. So we'll see if they're able to continue to adjust and, you know, come these more structured team fights, make stuff happen. Grand Starfall comes through late for Leche. Saw the effort. If that landed in time, would have at least forced the flash out of the Darius. But Drake up in 45. Herald up currently, and Frozen Ace making a play towards the top lane. Pantheon does have the flash, but Frozen Ace with this Triforce does want the fight. Warrior Tricksters through the stun. Cyclone comes through. And we'll see if he has enough damage as Leche trying to kite this one out as the second part of the ulti gets the knockup. A cliff shield comes through. Frozen Ace falling dangerously low, and Trozix trying to clean up, but Leche with a clean flash out of the pole is enough as another Chains of Corruption comes through for Messiah to pick up kill number 8. Tower falls down in the bottom lane. Zyra picking up a kill of her own. And while Darius and the Anivia were able to pick up their respective solo laners, it is still just things collapsing around the bottom lane. Thanks to some excellent efforts from BucketJons. We take a look what happens in this mid lane. Excuse me. Gotta hype up this Anivia. Just playing around the cooldowns well, dodging through the missiles, and this was a trade. One Sunflower Valkyries forward with no flash, has no escape. CLT able to punish the over-aggression using that Anivia. And Darius with a kill in the top lane as well to at least get a little gold back for FF here. About 4K down, 16 minutes in. This is a similar situation to last game, but this time around you do have better scaling. As I say that, Drake number 3, this kind of core squad, at least for this series of IBGen, Cleave, and Messiah, dominating the game and playing just some textbook League of Legends, getting priority in the bottom lane in these winning lanes, executing clean dives. So despite Mage and Chopped Letters, paying their respects, they are still falling down. And then stacking up some Drakes and rotating around the map to prevent FF at 20 from closing that gold lead too much. See how this kind of continues to play out over the next few minutes here, as you'd expect BucketJons to continue to kind of push their lead. As dive in onto Frozen Ace in the back line here. Enough to force him out, but is forced to flash, and that Wukong is your primary engage, so with no flash, it'd be tough to get onto what really is the best angle for FF at 20 in those squishy carries of BucketJons. But we'll see if there's a misstep somewhere along the way, as Trozix trying to farm up what they can, but a bit tough into this BT Corki. 167 farm, 155 farm on the Varus. Just pointing out the little things that BucketJons are doing right. Some pings coming down in the mid lane. It looks like FF wants to fight. Chains of Corruption go wide. Root coming through from Mage. Trade of ultis again. Frozen Ace coming in with the knockup, but BucketJons kiting it back beautifully as Piercing Arrow comes through to 2. Gets the 9th kill over for Messiah, who pops the barrier for good measure. So that is 2 for 0 currently. CLT trying to get one back onto the Silas, who abscond and abducts himself into a free death. And Anivia, now 3 kills on the board. I see the hype behind CLT's Anivia. Geo with a great shout there. It's really the best hope right now for FF, as it was enough to force, Varus flash, Silas flash, and ward off Zyra from going for any more. But still a favorable trade when all is said and done for the BucketJonBets squad. Mage walking into this level 13 Zyra. I mean, that Leandries is going to hurt. Spear coming through over top as well. Man. Yeah, it's, I mean, Frozen Ace was getting some stuff done early, trying to gank, and I was mentioning it earlier, into this Zyra, it's tough, because you have this obnoxiously winning bot lane as another Chains of Corruption comes through, abscond, abduct onto the clone from Cleave, but they're just going to still try to chase down this Wukong. Not going to be enough. Piercing Arrow not going to do quite enough damage. Frozen Ace sidesteps it anyway, but Messiah walking forward more, and that's because Leche is Grand Star falling in, and from the side, curtain call from Cleave, is not going to be enough for Frozen Ace to get out of this one as another piercing arrow comes through from Messiah. 10 kills now. Going legendary. I mean, Frozen Ace just having a rough time, trying to make some plays happen. Some roots falling into the Varus, who is summonerless, but IB is there with the Zyra roots. Never a dull time to talk as Cleve going to dive in a bit deep there. Darius with a reset. It's not going to be enough as CLT getting collapsed on as well, right in front of his mid-tier tower. It ends up being 4 in the long play, just for 1. As that Sheriff shield is propped. Messiah falling dangerously low. The tower is not going to be enough to fall. Getting back to that original point, I know Brandino kind of mentioned it. Yeah, I mean, BGen is just on this Zyra, able to walk around, just farm up a storm because bot lane has been dominating, so it's been a free path into invades there. As Flash is out coming through from Sunflower, CLT trying to chase down on this Anivia, but the TP comes in for Leche. And oh, this is painful to watch for FF. It's now 21 minutes in with 21 kills for BucketJons. I know BucketJon in his complete objectivity is a fan of that squad on the blue side there. And, you know, tough not to be when they draft this fun comp like that and execute it quite well. This Silas support, I mean, when don't they? That's probably a new pick for the league. And Cleve is piloting it well, going a little deep at times, but you really can't blame him there. Still making stuff happen for his team, and now 13-0 on this Varus is just incredible. Abscond of Ducks connects through the minions. Is going to chunk down Chop Letters quite no. Ignite gets dropped for good measure. But now, again, 22 minutes in. I mean, this is the game plan for BJB. They have this strong winning bottom lane, stacking these early objectives in an early soul. So, not even trying not to give CLT's Anivia and his respective squad the chance to scale, as the Otacon is going to drop as well. This is the Thorn-bound Otacon. I have not been keeping up with patch notes, so this is probably something new with the Spirit Blossom kind of split 2 deal. Siege onto the bottom lane here. IBJ going to catch Mage over the wall. Leche going over the wall as well. And then a curtain call from Cleve for good measure. Just providing all the artillery support that he can. Leche is falling low here. CLT with the stun is going to be enough to kill him thanks to some help with a flash pull from Trozix. But BucketJons are still looking to siege down the base of FF. Frozen Ace kind of hiding out in this flank position, you could say. You know, you have to get creative. Try to look for some angles here when you're down this far. Going in on BGen, 4 levels down, gets 1 knockup, flashes on for the second knockup, smites to get the chase down. Trozix pulls in Cleve on the other side. Is going to be enough to get some revenge on the jungler. Cleve flashing forward for the Kingslayer heal, but caught by the root from Mage is going to be enough to fall down. Messiah walking forward, though. 15 kills on this Varus. Lands the Chains of Corruptions. He has been on it all game, and the curtain call from the Jhin is not going to be enough, as it's still just BucketJons running over it. I mean, well played from FF there, kind of crawling a little bit back there, getting this massive shutdown bounty onto Zyra. Frozen Ace getting some revenge there with a good use of, you know, all those dashes, the Nimbus Strike, the Cyclone, able to kill BGen even through the Zyra Flash. But if this Varus stays untouched, I mean, 4 items in, 24 minutes in, versus 1 item on the Jhin. I mean, oh, it is, it's a bit tough to watch sometimes. I have not casted LOLMidwest specifically before, Julia. Bit new here, I'm the rookie. It's a very crowded league this time around, and as great as CLT is and all he's able to do, he can't quite do it all, especially when just subbing in to help things run smoothly. Picking up the blue buff is that Anivia. Once again, it's still kind of the eyes. Cleve abscond abducts forward and forces Frozen Ace out. Chains of Eruption going to fall short from Melsire there. But not too big of a deal there as Bucket John still sitting very comfortably with his 8K gold lead. CLT looking to kind of claw some of that back though, is chunking down Leche quite well, who is forced to stun forward, but with all members on the other side of the map, that's going to be kill number 5 for CLT, and with this TP up, this may just be the best angle they have, but not going to be able to get into the Baron, so it'll be a 25-minute Baron. It's again, early objective taking from this BJB squad. One of the top teams here in LOLMidwest, so and really showing it off. Dominant performance all around. Mage forced to flash out of the Abscond Abduct, leaving Frozen Ace in a bit of a rough spot. Messiah, another piercing arrow connecting, not quite enough damage as Frozen Ace limps that one off. Cleave looking for more action because of course he is on the Silas. CLT has something to say about that though, as he is going to have enough damage to befall the Silas. Silas trading one back. BGen over the wall. Those plants slowly cutting down the Jin. Messiah kiting it all back and providing artillery support in the meantime. This one is all but over. As with the Baron buff, 30 kills this time around for BucketJonBets. They're going to play it a little safe. Show some respect to the other opponent here. Don't want to toss away anything. Gonna pick up some extra objectives on the way as they continue this siege through. Jin up in 9, Wukong up in 15. Will it be enough for FF to hold it? CLT doing his darndest, laying down these ultis, but Chains of Corruption is going to tag him. Root follow-up from Zyra, going to go into egg form. Sunflower Valkyrie over the wall. Trozik's trying to keep his carry safe, and Sunflower underneath the tower is going to give over one reset to Darius. Pops the Ghost, maybe looking for more. Is this the angle FF have? It's about the best it's going to get as their 2 Nexus towers fall. But this Varus poke, 17 kills. They just, I mean, it's unplayable, man. I can't keep it too professional anymore. It's unplayable. You gotta respect FF at 20 for playing this one out. Because I mean, man, like despite namesake, this is one you queue up an ARAM after to make sure you have some fun playing some League tonight. See, I mean, like. Yeah, this CLT's and Nivea has been really trying their best to keep the team in the game, making stuff happen on their own. Frozen Ace, dueling Cleave, does have Mage as some support here, but a piercing arrow from Melshire is going to be enough. And Cleave just barely staying alive through Mage. And that is 2 kills right in front of the Elder Dragon. And Leche with the Grand Starfall in as we have a little bit of a back door. Why not? Places the ward. TP coming in from Sunflower. And FF is scrambling to get back to their base. It's not going to happen in time. The TPs come through. But with Elder secured and Leche and Sunflower on the Nexus, 28 minutes in, it is going to be a dominating 2-0 for BucketJonBets. Taking this series. Great performance, games 1 and game 2 from the bottom lane and the jungle of BucketJonBets. Kind of a scary little trio there, and despite best efforts from some cheese picks there, like the CLT and Nivea top coming through, farming up well, really putting Leche in a hole, which then helped get the Darius back in the game a little bit, who was struggling against the Corki early on. I mean, you're back to the drawing board if you're FF at 20, and I know they had some substitutes, so that's always something to kind of fall back on. But then for the side of Bucket Johns, just a clean game all around, dominating from start to finish. It's exactly what you want to see out of one of the top teams, I believe. Yeah, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4. That 6th ranked team right now. Based off the LOLMidwest power rankings. So, an absolute pleasure to watch, an absolute pleasure to cast. Thank you, everyone for tuning in. I'm not too sure how much breakdown typically goes into this post-game little happenings. But it was definitely kind of some explosive drafts to watch. I think the Silas support was something that made game two, even if it was more in dominating fashion, pretty interesting. Messiah piloting that Varus, I mean, you got to say to near perfection, 40k, nearly 40k damage in a 28-minute game and 18 and 0. Just, I mean, well done. FF at 20 lasting an extra minute longer here. And their early games were pretty strong. You kind of see how they like to play the game, playing through this skirmish heavy mid jungle and leaning on maybe a little more utility style bottom lane who can provide support from further back where top side looks to dive in. So that was kind of exciting to see a bit of a clash of two identities there, but didn't really get to that whole identity clashing part itself, as early game and mid game, really the mid game of the support jungle and all these members of Bucket John with map movement, with micro, able to build up a very comfortable lead for themselves in these games and ultimately close out a very comfortable Friday night series. So yeah, I think that will be it for me. Like I said, if anybody has any, casting feedback, please provide it. I'm hoping I can get maybe a few more games in. It's always fun to do. It's a fun chat to be in, fun community to be a part of. I think next up on the docket, game wise, is it's going to be tomorrow. I think that's the only game we had for tonight. Yeah, so we got some games tomorrow. CLT going to be casting at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific, Small Brain No Mechanics versus Prime. So hopefully y'all will be able to tune into that one, and that should be a good one. Has been having some good games all around. So yeah, I think I could definitely bring some Kappa energy. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Haunted. Thank you, Egoist. Appreciate you all, and we'll go ahead and call it there. Tune in tomorrow once again, 9 Eastern for the next set of games. Thanks for watching.